apart from being regular and punctual in the study of Murli, so do you know that the Murli has to be studied every day, and not one day do we have to miss the Murli, and we have to be very punctual, right from sweet children until the last Om Shanti. No, we have to be attentive to every second of the Murli. So this is something very basic about the Murli, that we have to read the Murli, because Murli is our only way to figure out shrimat. Yes, so in the world there is Ravan mat, there is the dictate of vices, and Baba gives us shrimat. Ravan mat makes us degraded, shrimat makes us elevated. But how do you get shrimat? There is no book, there is no class that covers all shrimat. It is just the Murli which gives shrimat. So Baba speaks to us through the Murli, and he gives every direction through the Murli. So we have to pay a lot of attention to everyday study and full study. But what is even more important is the attitude the attitude towards Murli, that Murli is the mind of God, and Shiv Baba is giving me shrimat through the Murli. That is one attitude that we need to have towards the Murli. Murli is not a piece of paper. So, it's not some ordinary literature. It contains the formula to change from human to angel to deity. So we must have that awareness about the Murli while we study it, because awareness is very important, and awareness creates attitude. So if I hold this in my awareness, that this Murli is the source of shrimat through which my fortune is created, and Baba is giving me all directions through the Murli, then I would have that kind of attitude towards the Murli which will help me appreciate every word of the Murli. So that's one thing about attitude creation, holding the importance of Murli in your awareness. Second thing is, because we have been in bhakti for very long, so sometimes, we read things out of discipline. So, there's, I don't know whether I'm able to explain it, but this is something I have thought about a lot and observed a lot, that in bhakti we have this discipline of reading something just out of discipline. So, every day you take up the scripture and read it. So that's one thing that we have learned in bhakti, and reading the scripture has got nothing to do with imbibing it. So, just reading it is your duty. So that's and we have to be very wary of our sanskars that we import from bhakti into jnana. So, there are lots of sanskars we just import from bhakti into jnana. So, the one sanskar that I always pay attention to is this reading without the intention of imbibing, because reading scriptures without any intention to understand or imbibe it is something we have done in bhakti. And I remember, so there are people who keep chanting mantras or shlokas, and without any awareness of it, they'll just keep chanting, or they'll just keep reading 2-3 pages of the scripture every day, and that's what they think is their duty. And when we import that sanskar into Gyan, then sometimes, you can just read the Murli and read the Murli like a discipline. So, aaj ka kaam khatam ho gaya. That kind of, I don't know whether it sounds right or not, but that's how sometimes we approach it, today's job is done, so I've completed the Murli today. So that's not how you approach the Murli. So one thing is, the Murli is reading the Murli as a discipline, and Baba also, today points out that Murli is to be listened to. Reading is a second grade, thing. So listening to the Murli through the nimit, that's the rule, that's the law. So when I listen to the Murli through the nimit, what is my attitude? Is my attitude just to tick box in the chart that yes, the Murli is done today? Or is my attitude really that my Baba is giving me shrimat through the Murli, and let me just open my intellect and imbibe what he is telling me? Yes. So this is one attitude that we need to check while listening to the Murli, and whether I'm just ticking the box that yes, the Murli is done, or I am actually interested in what Baba is trying to tell me. And then another attitude that we have is that the Murli is, I don't approach the Murli in a very personal way. That attitude is not personal, not like Baba is talking to me, but I just look at it like Baba is saying some important things. So, you listen to the Murli, you understand everything intellectually, but it doesn't translate into you checking whether this applies to me. This is another big attitude problem that we have, and I have observed these things in my journey, and that's why I'm sharing this with you, that sometimes Murli can become a very intellectual dose for you. So every day you're taking up, just like you need some food for brainstorming every day, so you are listening to the Murli and you're taking points, and your intellectual self, which is a part of your ego self, so that is being fed, and then you start analyzing points and doing everything, and you are also entertaining yourself a lot with the Murli. But the interesting thing is you miss out that this is something that I have to use for checking myself and changing myself. So that there's a big barrier set by ego, and then we are understanding everything appropriately, but it is not translating into me checking whether whatever Baba is saying I'm doing or not doing, and whether I am checking and changing in the light of Baba's knowledge. And this is a very dangerous attitude to have. Why? Because, we can be degrading constantly and feeding our ego that we are understanding a lot. So, this is a very dangerous approach to the Murli, that, you understand too much and you have the ego that I am very intelligent and wise, but you are not looking inside and checking. So your karma is downhill, but your ego is very inflated with the fact that I understand a lot of gyan. So this is also one important checking that we need to do about our attitude. So I'm just telling you what problems arise. You can check for yourself. Then there is another attitude, which is, when you listen to the Murli, then you listen to the Murli and you see that this Murli is relevant, but you are constantly thinking about some other person that this applies to. So, you are reading the Murli or listening to the Murli, and then you say, oh, my husband, this applies to my husband appropriately. And yes, Baba said this. If I could just switch on the speaker and make him listen. So you are so fixated with the idea of making your spouse listen to the Murli because it applies to him, that you are not even concerned whether it applies to me or not. So this is also another big area. And sometimes you can, for months together, you can just be listening to the Murli with another person in your head. And this is a very interesting situation, and you are nodding and you are very when I see somebody nodding vehemently, I sometimes think whether they are nodding for themselves or they have somebody else in mind for whom they are nodding, that yes, this is right, and if ever this person listened, then they would change. And I'll tell you, I have had a lot of experiences of this kind, where I remember there was this one brother who attended a session, and I don't think there's much difference between newcomers and because sanskars are very difficult to change, and maybe after 5 years also you see the same sanskars. So there was this one brother, he came and he was attending the session. It was a session for newcomers, and he kept nodding and appreciating like anything. And then in the end he came up and he started saying, Didi, the session was very good, very relevant, very important. So I thought, for sure this person will take up the course now. So I said, okay, so you will begin the course. We are beginning the course tomorrow. So would you like to join? He said, no, I will not join the course. So I said, why wouldn't you join the course? You like the session so much, and the course is absolutely in line with the session. So why wouldn't you choose that? So he said, no, because I like the session, because whatever you said is true, but it applies not to me but to my wife. And my wife is not here, and I was just recording everything in my head so that I could tell her that, even Didi was saying this, and you must listen to that class and follow it. And if she agrees, then she will come for the course. But I don't have a problem, so I will not come for the course. So, and I tried to tell him, in many ways, that maybe you could just look inside and figure out if one point made sense to you, not for your wife but for you. He said, no, absolutely no point makes sense to me, because I don't have a problem. I'm perfect. Only my wife has a problem. So you could listen to the Murli and just keep thinking, if this person imbibed this point and that person imbibed that point, it would be great. and with someone who reads the Murli to others, this is also a big maya, that sometimes you can just listen to the Murli and think about what I'm going to explain rather than what I'm going to imbibe. So this also happens, I've personally, in my journey, I've encountered this, that in one phase of time, whenever I read the Murli, I was thinking about how to explain this rather than how to imbibe this. So this is also another aspect of how Maya, just messes up with you. And then there are other things also, like, when you listen to the Murli, do you listen to what you want to hear or what Baba wants to say? So do you pick and choose, or do you open your heart and listen to what is it that Baba wants me to see and do and think and learn, which I don't understand? So do you kind of dismiss some parts of the Murli because you think it doesn't make sense to you, and you forget that because Baba is giving it to me, it is relevant for me? So do you understand that according to drama and according to the fact that Baba is the ocean of knowledge and Baba is the wisest one, Baba wouldn't give you anything that is not relevant for you. So sometimes, you feel, and I remember there was this one sister and she would tell me, Didi, the Murli is a lot of the Murli is about bhakti, and I am not a bhagat, so I have not done bhakti in this life, so I do not relate to most of the points. But I told her, you don't know the part of the big bhagat that's in you. but if Baba is speaking these points to you, you must know that there is something in these points that you need to learn. And around 7 years later, that sister told me, Didi, when I kept listening to Baba's Murli, and slowly I changed my attitude from what I want, what I'm looking for in the Murli, to what Baba is trying to make me see, not what I'm looking for, but what Baba is trying to make me see. Then I figured out that I have a lot of sanskars of bhakti in me. And then she said that, sometimes you think that you're ultra modern and this and that, but you're not. You're a big bhagat inside, and you have this 63 births of bhakti, which is working in so many ways, and you don't even know that. And suddenly, after these 7 years, I can tell you, I'm very aware that yes, I am that soul who has done 63 births of bhakti, and I have many sanskars of bhakti. And it is not just about going to a temple or feeling excited about a figurine. It's not about that. It's a lot of sanskars come from bhakti. So so that she told me. So do you listen to the Murli with the attitude of what I want to, what I'm looking for, do I find it in the Murli, or the solutions that I'm looking for, or what is the issue that I'm grappling with, and do I get the answer? Because every Baba's child always says that I get answers in the Murli. Yes, so every child says that. So I get answers in the Murli. That's every child's experience. But are you just getting the answers of the questions you have in mind, or are you listening to what Baba is saying, because he is also answering questions which you are not even aware of? And I remember early on when I came in Gyan, there was this one Vani by Mama, and Mama said that when Baba gives something to you, you must know that it is relevant and you must keep it in some part of your head. So, just keep it somewhere. Even if you don't know where to use it, just like, in the when we live in grihast, so there are many things which we buy, and sometimes you don't know where to use it, or somebody gifts it to you, you don't know how to use it, but you don't throw it away, do you? So you don't even throw one screw away although you don't know where it will fit and when, but you don't throw anything away. Then why do you not know that when Baba is giving you something, then Baba absolutely knows that you will need it. Maybe you don't know when you will need it, not today, or maybe you need it today, but you don't realize it. So this is something that you must hold in your awareness, that am I listening to every point of the Murli, and am I imbibing it? And maybe even if I don't understand it right now, do I hold it with that regard that the Almighty Gyan Sagar is giving me this point, so it is of relevance and I don't know how to apply it today, but maybe tomorrow. So this attitude is very important, and I will tell you in the beginning what happened. So you know that there was a group of 350 to 400 children who came to Baba, right? So there was a family of 350 to 400 who did tapasya and who came and made the bhatti. But do you know those 350, 400 brothers and sisters, or do you know only 10, 12, 15 dadis and elder brothers? And why is it that all those 350 to 400 did not become, did not imbibe as much as these 10, 12, 15? Because when Baba spoke the Murli, that we were in Karachi and Baba was speaking this Murli that tomorrow you will go and serve the world, and then Baba was talking about Vinash. So some of the brothers and sisters thought, we don't have to serve the world, there will be Vinash and it will be over. Why is Baba talking about going door to door, doing seva and this and that? So they picked and chose. And that's why they did not get prepared. So, forewarned is forearmed. So, Baba is always giving us forewarning, foreboding of what is going to come. And even if that is not come today, Baba is preparing us for that. Baba talks about what's going to happen in the end, and how our stage should be like in the end. And you tell yourself that, okay, I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. So let me just focus on the relationship thing that Baba is talking about, because I only have relationship issues right now, or I have health issues right now. So let me just focus on what Baba is talking about, having a relationship with the body. But that's not how it works. So Baba says, I am the seer of the three aspects of time. I am Trikal Darshi, and I am speaking the Murli to you through that Trikal Darshi stage. So you must also pay attention to every point of the Murli and know that whatever Baba is giving me today is something that I will need tomorrow, if not today. So this is another attitude that we need to check for the Murli. And then Baba today also says that when you listen to new points and points every day in the Murli, then they strike you one day. So, never dismiss a point because you have read it earlier. Sometimes, when you are listening to the Murli or reading the Murli, and then there are points which you've heard earlier, you think that, I know this point. You know that point, but that point has not hit you accurately. So if you listen to that point with that same intensity and that same, that same open intellect, it can hit you differently today. And I have observed that, there are certain things, there are certain points which I have noted since day one. But how I understand it today is like it's a day and night difference between how I understood it the first day. And that's why never think that, this point I have already heard and this point I know, because you don't know what's contained in the point. And Baba says that every time, why is God, the ocean of knowledge, speaking it 10 lakh times when you think that I have understood it? So does he not know better than you? So Baba says, I am speaking it so many times because I know it doesn't get in the first time. And just like, when you are trying to stick a nail into the wall, you keep blowing in the same place, right? You keep hitting the nail in the same place. But would you call that repetition? That's not repetition, that's hammering. And with every blow, that nail is going inside, and every blow matters. And you cannot say that, if it goes inside in the first blow, then fine, otherwise not. No. You have to hit it in the same place several times before it goes in the wall. And a Murli is like that. So you have to listen to every point with that open heart and intellect, and it will hit you differently every time. So this is also another attitude that we need to have towards the Murli. And then, of course, there are many other things which you can think about, but I thought that, this is important. And then revising. So noting and revising. So not just listening to the Murli with that attitude. So the right attitude is most important. And then with that attitude, when you have listened to it, then also, noting how do I apply this to me, because the Murli is about me. It is Baba talking to me about what I need to do. So how do I imbibe it, and noting those points, churning over it, and also reflecting on how do I imbibe this in my life, and checking where there is a desynchronization between what I am doing and what Baba is saying. So all of that. And then also, there is this thing about guilt. So sometimes, there is this feel guilty, do nothing sanskar. So then children will say, the more I understand the Murli, the more guilty I feel. Yes, that I'm not doing this and not doing that. But do you know how you solve that problem? By doing one thing at a time. So this guilt, or this sanskar of guilt, is there because we listen to Murli every day and do nothing. But if we just did one thing at a time, so if Baba talks about pure food, okay, I'm at this time, there's nothing pure about the food. Just take one little step. Just start offering your tea as bhog to Baba. Just start offering milk as bhog to Baba. And just start purifying one meal of the day and offer it to Baba. You will never feel guilty. You will feel Baba's blessings. So, when you do nothing, you will only feel guilty. And Baba knows, Baba tells it in the Murli frankly that this is a step-by-step journey and you will not be able to do everything all at once, or not in the beginning at least. But if we don't take even one step, we'll feel guilty. But if you take one step, you will never feel guilty. You will feel Baba's blessings. Yes, so there is one sister, for 7 years she has been telling me that I feel guilty about not following Baba's dharana of pure food. And finally I told her that 7 years is a very long time, sister. If you just started paying attention a little bit every day, 7 years you would be able to overcome that sanskar. But the thing is, you're always saying you're feeling guilty, but you're not feeling guilty. That guilt is just, it's just a defense mechanism. I'm feeling guilty, I'm feeling guilty. No. If you're feeling guilty, take one step. And if you take one step, I guarantee you, you will not feel guilty. You will feel Baba's love and blessings. Yes. How did every Baba's child progress? Did they take the high jump at once? No. One step at a time. And a loving heart, an honest heart. My Baba is saying this to me. So can I not do this much? Let me try this much. And I remember, there was this Kumar and he used to stay in a hostel. And he told me that, Didi, I go for coaching and I stay in a hostel. So, but I feel that, my Baba is telling me that I must have pure food. So, what I do is, in the morning, I offer fruits to Baba and I have fruits in the morning, and then I eat in my mess, and I eat food from there. But I don't know, I feel like Baba loves me. So he said, I know that, and I'm confessing this because I don't want to be dishonest, but I feel Baba loves me. So I said, yes, Baba will love you. Baba will love you because you're making effort. Does Baba ever say, I like perfect children? No. Baba says, I like effort makers. So, to Baba, our biggest gift is our effort. In Bhakti we hear that there was this squirrel, and when the Ram Setu was being built, then this squirrel was just, trying to help God in his work, and the little squirrel would just roll itself in the mud and go and sprinkle the mud in the other place. So, it was trying to transport the mud from one place to another, and that was its sweet way of helping. And then God picked her up, and they say, that there's this 3 lines of the squirrel is because God caressed the squirrel. But these are all lessons to learn, that even small efforts count. But if it's just, I feel guilty, and not even one step. Yes, so sometimes children say, we can't do seva, can't do seva. Can't you manage any seva? You've never offered bhog, never done any seva. Are you that kind of pauper and no money or nothing you have? That's not true. And Baba doesn't make a difference between 20 rupees and 100 rupees and 200 rupees and 20,000 and 1 lakh. He doesn't make a difference between that. But one step, if you don't take, and if there's no honesty and love, then how will you feel Baba's love and presence? So that is something that we need to check for ourselves. That if I am listening to the Murli and I am feeling, that I'm not doing this or that, do I just feel guilty, do nothing, and then, keep telling that I have this excuse and that excuse? Or do I take one step of love and honesty and win Baba's heart? So one step at a time will make you reach your destination. So this is something. So I'm just talking about study today and imbibing. Baba has talked about many things today. Baba has talked about how ego messes up with children and how they cause problems. Instead of being a right hand, they will start becoming a troublemaker. So Baba has talked about all of those possibilities, but at least let's begin where we can begin. So at least paying attention to the Murli, having the right attitude, and knowing that the Murli is for me to imbibe. Okay, Om Shanti.